into night with a clarity that defies the passage of time. A night when the skies opened up in torrents of icy rain and winds howled as if mourning every forgotten soul. In the heart of a forgotten city, where the bitter cold gnawed at every corner and silence cloaked the empty streets, fate conspired to bring together two lost beings destined to heal one another. This is the story of Maya, a compassionate woman with a spirit forged in kindness, and Shadow, a large, timid dog whose life had been a silent symphony of suffering and neglect. The night began like any other in the city, a ceaseless struggle against the winter's bite. Pavements were slick with ice and streetlights flickered, struggling to penetrate the dark, rain-soaked alleyways. Maya, with her soft eyes and tender heart, was returning from a long day at work, her thoughts adrift among memories of past hardships and hopes for a kinder future. The chill in the air was biting, yet there was warmth in her step, an inner flame that refused to be quenched by the cold. As she walked along a narrow, desolate lane, a faint sound, a low, pitiful whimper reached her ears. Pausing, she peered into the shadows cast by a crumbling building, her heart pounding with an inexplicable urgency. There, half hidden beneath a tattered awning, lay a dog whose appearance was as heartbreaking as it was forlorn. His fur, matted and dirty, clung to his emaciated frame, and his eyes, dark and cautious, darted about in terror. Chains clanked around his neck and legs, each metallic sound a cruel reminder of captivity. This was Shadow, a name given by those who had known him only as a burden, a creature too timid to fight back against the abuse he had suffered. Maya's breath caught as she knelt in the mud, her gloved hand reaching out slowly to the trembling animal. "I'm here," she whispered, her voice a fragile promise amidst the storm's roar. For a long, agonizing moment, time itself seemed to pause. In the watery gleam of Shadow's eyes, she saw not just fear, but also a deep, unspoken longing for love, a desperate hope for rescue from the darkness that had smothered him for so long. The world around them faded, the rain, the wind, and even the distant echoes of a cruel past. In that small, sacred space between them, Maya and Shadow began a tentative dialogue, one that transcended words. She spoke of soft blankets and warm meals, of safety and the gentle caress of human touch, while he, with cautious steps, inched closer, as if testing the boundaries of trust that had been so brutally shattered. The chains that had once confined him were slowly, painfully removed, not just from his body but from the spirit that lay beneath. With trembling fingers, Maya unfastened the shackles, each metallic clink resonating like a solemn hymn of liberation. The rescue, however, was only the beginning of an arduous journey. As the storm raged on, Maya cradled Shadow in her arms and raced against the relentless downpour toward an emergency veterinary clinic. Inside, the sterile brightness of the clinic provided a stark contrast to the shadowed despair of the night. The sound of beeping monitors and soft, urgent whispers of the medical staff formed the backdrop to a quiet miracle. Under the tender care of skilled hands, Shadow's wounds, both visible and hidden, began to receive the nourishment they so desperately needed. Every bandage, every whispered word of reassurance was a step toward mending a soul that had long known only pain. Days melted into nights, each one marked by the quiet persistence of healing. Maya stayed by Shadow's side, her presence a constant reminder that he was no longer alone. In the early hours of one crisp morning, as the remnants of the storm gave way to a fragile calm, Maya prepared a small bowl of food. The room was filled with a silence so deep it resonated like a heartbeat. With her hand extended, she offered a morsel to Shadow, a simple act laden with hope. For an eternity, Shadow hesitated. The air was heavy with the memories of abuse and the fear of trust. Then, with a trembling vulnerability, he inched forward, his nose twitching as he accepted the food from Maya's gentle hand. It was a moment, so delicate and profound that it seemed to stitch together the frayed edges of his spirit. That morning marked a turning point, a small victory in the long, slow war against despair. Over the ensuing weeks, Maya celebrated each incremental breakthrough. The first time Shadow dared to wag his tail, the first timid lick of her hand, the slight lift of his head when she spoke, all these were triumphs over a past filled with neglect and cruelty. The transformation was gradual, a series of fragile moments of trust that slowly, imperceptibly, rebuilt the foundation of his heart. Yet the process was not linear. There were days when Shadow would retreat into himself, his eyes clouded by memories too painful to bear. In those moments, the room would be filled with the soft sound of Maya's voice, recounting stories of happier times, a world where the rain sang lullabies and the sun painted the earth in warm hues. Her words were imbued with a gentle persistence, each syllable a promise that the scars of yesterday could one day give way to the beauty of tomorrow. The clinic became their haven, a place where every heartbeat was a testament to resilience, and every quiet moment a battle won against the shadows of trauma. As winter slowly yielded to the tender whispers of spring, another chapter unfolded in this tale of redemption. It was on a bright yet cool afternoon that a kind couple arrived at the clinic, their eyes reflecting a deep-seated empathy. They had heard of Maya's quiet crusade of healing, of the dog who had once been chained in the icy darkness, and they wished to offer a new beginning. With them came Lily, a soft-spoken girl with a gaze that seemed to hold an ancient wisdom. Lily had always been a solitary soul, finding solace in quiet corners and in the comforting presence of animals. When she first laid eyes on Shadow, a silent understanding passed between them, a recognition of shared vulnerability and the yearning for a second chance. I recall that afternoon vividly. The waiting room bathed in a gentle glow, the murmurs of quiet conversation, and Lily's delicate steps as she approached Shadow with cautious optimism. Her small hand reached out, and in that touch was a promise of safety and love. Shadow, whose heart had been so guarded, felt the stirrings of a new emotion, a tentative hope that perhaps he could trust again. In the soft cadence of Lily's voice and the warmth of her smile, he sensed the possibility of belonging, of finding a place where his past would no longer dictate his future. The family's decision was not taken lightly. They understood that Shadow's journey was one of many small, fragile steps, a slow reclaiming of a life once shadowed by pain. With Maya's blessing and a quiet confidence that the little victories he had achieved would pave the way for brighter days, the couple welcomed Shadow into their home. Their house, modest yet filled with light and laughter, became a sanctuary where the scars of abuse were gently eased by the power of love. Life in his new home was a study in gradual transformation. Every day presented new challenges and small triumphs. The gentle routine of feeding, quiet walks in the park, and evenings spent under the soft hum of family chatter began to reshape Shadow's world. Yet, the echoes of his past were never far away. Each creak of the floorboards, each sudden noise in the night would sometimes send him into a state of alarm. But within the safety of this nurturing environment, those moments of fear slowly diminished, replaced by the steady rhythm of trust and tenderness. One early morning, when the sky was still a tapestry of soft blues and grays, a miraculous scene unfolded. Lily, ever curious and gentle, decided to take Shadow out into the garden, a place where wildflowers dared to bloom even against the odds of a harsh winter. The garden was a quiet retreat, its corners imbued with the fragrance of earth and the promise of new beginnings. Lily sat on a weathered stone bench, her eyes fixed on the horizon as Shadow approached her with cautious steps. It was then that the unspoken bond between them revealed itself in its purest form. Shadow, once a prisoner of pain, slowly nudged his head into Lily's lap. In that tender moment, the heavy weight of his past seemed to lift, replaced by the serene certainty of love and acceptance. The days turned into weeks, and with each passing sunrise, Shadow grew bolder, more willing to embrace the world around him. His once guarded eyes now held a glimmer of joy when he saw Lily, and his tail, once a silent testament to sorrow, began to wag. Ever so slightly at first, and then with a growing confidence. The family celebrated each milestone as if it were a grand festival. The first time he ate from Lily's hand, the first time he lay down in the sun-dappled grass of the backyard, the first time he trotted alongside the gentle steps of his new, human companions. The transformation was as profound as it was gradual. Maya, who had nurtured Shadow through his darkest days, often visited the family, her heart swelling with pride at the progress he had made. Yet, in those quiet moments of reflection, she was reminded of the cruel winter nights and the deep loneliness that had once defined him. Her eyes, filled with both sadness and hope, traced every gentle victory as if counting blessings. "Every small act of love," she would whisper, "is a beacon in the darkness." And then came the day that would symbolize the final triumphant chapter of Shadow's long journey. The family decided to take him to a vast open field, a place where the remnants of winter's chill were giving way to the soft, promising touch of spring. The field stretched out like a canvas of hope, its grasses glistening with dew under a sky that promised endless blue. Lily, with the uncontainable joy of a child set free, ran ahead, her laughter echoing through the open space, like a gentle hymn of renewal. Shadow, now a creature reborn, hesitated only for a moment before following her into that boundless expanse. In that field, the world seemed to hold its breath. Every step Shadow took was a defiant act of liberation, a celebration of the journey, from pain to healing. As he ran, his paws danced upon the soft earth, each stride a reminder that the chains of his past had finally been broken. The laughter of Lily and the playful rustling of the tall grass created a symphony of joy, a soundtrack to a life reclaimed. For the first time, Shadow's eyes shone not with the fear of yesterday, but with the promise of a bright tomorrow. The field, bathed in the golden hues of the setting sun, became a living testament to the power of gentle love, a silent reminder that even the deepest scars can fade under the tender care of compassion. I stand here, a silent narrator of this miraculous transformation, bearing witness to a story that transcends the ordinary. It is a story of healing, of a woman whose kindness bridged the chasm of despair, of a dog whose spirit soared beyond the confines of his past, and of a little girl whose gentle heart rekindled the spark of life in a wounded soul. Every detail of this journey is a call to all who hear it, to open your heart to those in need, to see beyond the surface of pain, and to remember that even in our darkest hours, there exists the possibility of renewal. In the quiet aftermath of that extraordinary day, as twilight settled over the field and shadows lengthened into soft silhouettes, a simple truth emerged. Love, in its most unassuming form, has the power to transform lives. The memory of that long winter, the cold, the pain, the cruelty, was now intertwined with the warmth of gentle hands, the soft murmur of understanding, and the joyful cadence of a life set free. As you read these words, let them be a gentle reminder that every creature, every human, every soul carries within it the capacity for both suffering and immeasurable love. May this story inspire you to act with compassion, to heal with tenderness, and to see the beauty in every small, courageous step toward a brighter future. So as the final light of day slipped beneath the horizon, and as Lily and Shadow continued their playful dance amid the wild expanse of nature's embrace, I invite you to reflect. What can you do today to mend a broken heart? How can you be the light in someone's dark winter? For it is in our quiet acts of kindness that the seeds of hope are sown, and it is through our shared humanity that the most profound miracles are born. Let this tale be a beacon, a gentle call to action for all who dwell in this world. Embrace those who have been cast aside, offer comfort to the wounded, and celebrate the quiet victories that transform despair into joy. In every gentle gesture, in every moment of compassion, there is the power to change lives, to break chains, and to usher in a new dawn where every soul, no matter how scarred, can finally bask in the radiant warmth of unconditional love. And so, on that final note, as the field grew still, and the last echoes of laughter faded into a serene silence, Shadow, the once captive spirit, played with Lily beneath an endless sky. A living reminder that even the coldest nights yield to the promise of a sunlit tomorrow. May we all carry this light within us, and may our hearts forever be open to the healing power of gentle love.